So the big question is this. How entrepreneurs like us who have been breaking with old beliefs, like the idea of holding a 9-to-5 job and living paycheck to paycheck, taking a lifetime to reach business and life success as the only option we have? How do we grow our business in a way that lets us highly service our customers, getting our products and services and the things that we believe in out into the world without diluting our life but enhancing it and taking the journey of internal and external growth? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Your host is Marina Simon, and welcome to 10 Exit. Life and business as usual? Never again.
Macaroons and the price of fish. So you will say, Marina, what are you talking about? This is a business entrepreneurship podcast. What are coconut macaroons? Is the latest strategy of business? Is it the after COVID magical formula for thriving in sales? So I had to tell you a story. 10 years ago, or so, I was visiting a friend and he had these amazing coconut macaroons. I love coconut and I've never tried macaroons in my life. No, I should say there's a Mexican candy which is called cocada that is like macaroons truly. But these ones were out of this world. The ones that I tried, it was when I was a kid, and they used to make them in Acapulco. And they were delicious. It was made by the locals. It was really good. But I'm promising to go delicious in my whole life, and I love them, right? So I asked my friend, hey, who make these macaroons? And he said, well, it's a lady that helps a friend of mine. And I'm like, do you think we can get the recipe? And he's like, I'll try. So, weeks pass, months pass, and I'm like, what's happening with that recipe of the mac? He's like, she just won't give it to me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, no, it's kind of like a very, very, personal thing. And I'm like, I can't believe it, right? I've never met anybody who had such a property or proprietary sense of ownership with recipes. But, who knows? Mexican mothers and grandmothers also have their own recipes that sometimes they don't share with us. So, this lady is married to one of the, in the 80s, there was this investment banker brothers. They're very, very, famous. So my friend said, no, she won't give it to me. And I'm like, God. So I'm like, well, what does it has, right? I tried to try them. I tried to cook them. Nah, I didn't came close. So the years pass, right? The lady that used to help his friend quit. And I'm like, okay, so now what are we going to do? I really want those macaroon recipe, because she will bring once in a while those macaroons to my friend, right? And I'm like, I can't believe it. I really need to know how to do these things. The years passed. And just, I guess, a year ago, or a little, less, he said, I talked to my friend and her husband's friends, right? And he said that he got the recipe one day going, I think it was to Seattle, right? In this very, very special sweets store where they make ice cream and they make, candy and this and that, right? And I want to share with you because it was in San Francisco. Sorry, it wasn't in Seattle. And I'm like, okay, so do you remember exactly what he told you, right? Okay, guys, I did a whole research on this. I think I'm taking more time to tell you the story than to tell you the important part. So, it is a store in San Francisco called By Right Creamery, right? And they're known for, handcraft ice cream and some other, like sweets. So I went into the internet until I find these guys. And the other datum was, and they have a book. I'm like, they have a book? Okay. So I went and researched. I want to share the recipe of coconut macaroons. So it comes from a book called Sweet Cream and Sugar Cones, right? And the guys that cook, I think, is Chris Hugger Hyde, Ann Walker, and Dabney Goog, something like that, right? These girls are awesome, not joke. I don't know how they came up with this recipe, but they're freaking fantastic. They have maybe they have like a franchise nowadays, but it started in San Francisco, and it's called By Right Creamery. Okay. So I want to share them with you because it cost me 10 years of my life to find this recipe, which is in a book. And guess where I got my book? In a second-hand store. I can't believe it, one of these days. So I got it in the internet, and one day I walk into this second-hand store, and I'm like, the book? So here we go. Coconut macaroons for those who love coconut and love macaroons. Here is the amazing recipe. Okay, guys, it makes about 20 cookies. So it says, these cookies, which we make year-round, have many loyal fans at Bite Right Market and the creamery alike. You can bake these cookies in the traditional mound shapes, like little mountains, right? Or flatten them out for use in ice cream sandwiches, which is delicious, by the way. You can buy the ice cream or whatever and then put them in between. In addition of being pretty and delicious, they're also good option for those avoiding wheat. For those celiacs like me, raise your hand. Okay, here we go. So, ingredients. Ready? Get your piece of paper. They're really amazing, even if you give them for gift. 1 cup of sugar, which, for those that don't like sugar like me, you can substitute it with stevia, cooking stevia, or swerve. So 1 cup of sugar, or substitute sugar. Then, next ingredient, 1/2 cup egg whites. 1/2 cup of egg whites. And you take them, if you're like me, you like natural ingredients. So take them from the eggs, from about 4 large eggs. Okay? So crack the eggs. 1/2 cup egg whites, and take away the yolk. Third ingredient, 2 tablespoons tapioca syrup or corn syrup. 2 tablespoons of tapioca syrup or corn syrup. If you're like me, guys, and you don't need sugar, you can do a substitute. Nowadays, there's Hanukkah syrup and other kinds of syrup that are not sugary. All right? So 2 tablespoons of that. Next recipe. 1 teaspoon pure vanilla extract. 1 teaspoon pure vanilla extract. Next ingredient. 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And the last ingredient is 3 cups, which is around 8 ounces, finely shredded unsweetened coconut. All right? So 3 cups of finely shredded unsweetened coconut normally is 8 ounces. And if you're like me, you'll buy organic. Okay. So here's the 6 steps to do this. It's going to be, you have to chill them once they're done, like at least 2 hours, or you can put them overnight on your fridge. And then it lasts like 1 week fresh, these little macaroons. Okay. Step 1, put about 1/2 inch of water in the bottom of a double boiler or medium saucepan and bring to a simmer over medium-high heat. Okay, so I tell you what I do if you don't have this complex like double boiler, medium saucepan. It's very simple to do. Get a big saucepan, right? And then, or pot. Put the water, right? About 1/2 inch of water in the bottom. So just 1/2 inch that covers your biggest. Then put the smaller pan on top. Okay? So that's how you do double boilers. Step 2. So just to repeat step 1. So you put 1/2 inch of water in the bottom of that and bring to a simmer over medium-high heat, right? Simmer it. Number 2, in the top of the double boiler, right, on your top pan, or in a medium forget about that word, is funky monkey. So in the top of the double boiler or in the top pan, whisk together all the ingredients except the coconut. So put all the first, 5 ingredients. So do not put the coconut yet, right? Whisk them all together. Bam, 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 bam. Now, put the double boiler insert or bowl over, but not touching the simmering water. Well, if you have a double boiler, right? Otherwise, it's okay. Then cook, whisking frequently until the mixture becomes somewhat translucent, but still has some visible granules of sugar. About 3/4 of the sugar should be dissolved. This will take you around 2-3 minutes, right? So you put all the ingredients except the coconut on top, and start whisking until it's crystal. It's almost like 3/4 of your potion is going to be crystal, and it will take you around 2-3 minutes. Step 3, remove from the heat and stir in the coconut, right? So now you take it out from the heat and put all the coconut. Now cover the bowl with plastic wrap and chill until the dough is firm, at least 2 hours or overnight, right? So now you have everything, you mix it, and then leave the mixture as is and put it overnight or 2 hours at least on the fridge. So, because it gets very sticky if you're trying to get individual macaroons, it's still not the consistency, right? That's why you put it on the fridge. Step 4, when you're ready to bake, position racks in the top and bottom thirds of the oven. Okay, just put your racks in. Make it simple. 350 degrees, all right, Fahrenheit, and then put your 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. Now, parchment paper in this is important because it's a sticky thing. If you put it directly on your metal pans, it's going to get sticky. So just make sure you use parchment paper. Scoop up 2 tablespoons of dough and form it into a ball. So you want a good ball, right? 2 tablespoons. And then make it into a ball. Repeat until you have finished the dough, right? Let's see, any other important information, because they're so precise, but it's just kind of like flowery, data. No, that's it. Now bake for 10 minutes. That's the 5th step, bake for 10 minutes, and then rotate the baking sheets, from bottom to top. If you can, if not, it's fine. They come out beautifully. So bake for 10 minutes, continue to bake until the cookies are golden brown on the top, about 5 minutes. Longer for flattened cookies and about 10 minutes longer for rounded cookies. So again, you bake for 10 minutes, basics, right? Then switch the pan so you can get them more browny on the top, right? And then cook more for 5 minutes. If you have the flattened cookies, and if you have them more round, cook 10 more minutes. So it's around a 20-minute total cycle if you have the round cookies. When the cookies come out of the oven, slide the sheet of parchment cookies and all onto a cooking rack. Let the cookies cool completely before peeling them off of the parchment. Otherwise, it will fall apart. Right? So do not try to eat them. They're delicious, but let them cool off. Otherwise, you're going to end up with pieces of coconut fingers. And that is the end. Truly, guys, these are the best coconut macarons I ever ate. I wouldn't be sharing this recipe with you if it wasn't worth it. So I hope you enjoy it just for this crazy different day. Have an amazing day. And the best again, create an amazing day.
Thanks for joining us today on 10 Exit. Life and business as usual? Never again. We love always hearing from you. Please feel free to send Marina an email, marina@marinasimonbrand.com. Your input and comments are always welcome, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you like the podcast, you can always subscribe to it. Remember, the best way to predict the future is to create it.